For chapter 4.1, mainly is all about collecting and classifying data. So these data that we get are normally collected facts. So these facts can be from a problem or can be from a questionnaire, it can be from a research, from a certain observation. So all of these things will then contribute to a statistic. So later on when we learn about statistics, so how are we going to use this data is to estimate a certain mean or estimate a certain median or to get a certain range, interquartile range. So these are very important. So sometimes we get data that are numbered or sometimes we cannot get data that are non-numbered. For example, like favorite colors. So how many people actually like red? How many people actually like blue? How many people actually like a certain specific color? So these data are also important, but they are considered to be categorical. So these are normally like uh, about words. Okay, for example, favorite colors or the your name of the favorite CEO of the successful company. So all of these things we call them quantitative data. Whereas if we get something that is more numerical, for example, like age, weight, height. So all of these are called, oh sorry, these are qualitative. The bottom one is quantitative. Quantitative means you have a quantity. The top one is a qualitative data. So the quantity and the quality. So this one actually come from quality. This one actually come from quantity. So quantity is numerical, quality is more categorical. However, when we are taking numerical data, there are different types of data that we can get. So numerical data, sometimes we round it up, sometimes we don't, sometimes we just get a specific value. So for example, how many children are there in the class, or how many goals are being scored by this particular team. So these data are called discrete. It ends in a certain number. It only take a fixed value or a certain value. Certain meaning that it is confirmed. Okay, you cannot score 1.5 goals. You can only score 1 goal. Okay, so that is the discrete data. However, there are certain things that are um, a value or a certain range of values. These are called continuous data. For example, like height. So this one can be any value between a certain range. So these data are called continuous data. So when we want to collect these data, there are certain ways that we can do it. One is we can collect it ourselves. These are called primary data. Means that it's a first-handed information. You can count it on your own, you can observe it on your own, you can measure it on your own. However, sometimes that takes a very long period of time, or sometimes you cannot do it anymore. For example, if you want to go out now to do it, you cannot, but you need this data. So what we do, we get it from other source. Normally old data. So these are called secondary data. So for example, we want to find out how many people like a certain thing, then we can actually go on the internet, or we can go on the magazine, or we can read it on newspaper, or go through a certain website to actually get this data that has been collected by other people. So secondary data is like the word itself, it is like a second-hand data. It means that it has been done and collected by other people. So it might not be as accurate, but at the very least, you get a certain amount of information.